This land is your land. This land is my land. From California, well, to the New York Island. From the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. I tell you, this land was made for you and me. As I went walk.
Welcome to Markie's World. I'm Markie Shinn, your host, and today we are at, where are we?
The place for children with autism.
You know, that is a weird name.
It's a very straightforward
It is,
name.
but I like that name. And Marisol Remakillo. Thank you so much for having us here, and I really appreciate you allowing us to have this interview with you.
Well, thank you for having me.
So, Marisol, how did this occur? What's the history with this agency?
So the Place for Children with Autism, we've been around, we're celebrating our second year in operation. We started January of 2017, and we primarily started to focus on some of the underserved communities in the state of Illinois. Medicaid still does not cover some of the medically necessary treatment for autism, and so there was a widely underserved population of people that just weren't getting access to services.
Okay.
So we came from our various autism backgrounds to, come together to figure out a way to get these families access to services. And so when we started in 2017, we were one small center down in Mount Greenwood, in the south side of Chicago, and educated families on the resources that were available to them. And since then, we've grown and grown, and in our second year, we're at 6 centers now. So,
Marisol, what's your title?
so I'm the Chief Operating Officer.
I knew you was big time. Already know that.
It's not as big as the title.
She's very humble. She's very humble.
I essentially, there is the clinical piece of, the organization, and then there's the operational piece of the organization. And the way that we chose to run our organization is clinically driven. So operationally, my role is to ensure that how we go about our business supports the highest quality in clinical care. And so I'm often labeled as the glue that holds everything together, and the front-facing person, and just
I have to say that you also put me at ease because you were very appreciative and courteous and polite. You were just a wonderful person from the time that we've met on. And you're like, oh, I'm so nervous.
Well, when you're in front of a TV and lots of lights, I'm not used to being in the limelight. I'm a front-facing person, and I talk a lot with people, and I get really passionate, and I get really energized by talking about what we do and sharing, what we do.
And it's a beautiful, interesting subject. Autism, like I was saying, that I had been reading up on it. I didn't know that there were so many different high-risk factors to a baby being born with autism.
Well, the prevalence of autism now is 1 in every 59 kids, it's estimated, to have autism. Boys being 3 times more likely than girls to receive a diagnosis. So it's a lot more common nowadays than it was, 5, 10, 15 years ago. So yes, I mean, as a parent, when you are having a child and you're in your mind planning what a future with this child is going to look like, all the dreams and aspirations that you want to see.
I know that has to be really hard on a parent to not know what autism is about and to be diagnosed and to be told that, you know, your child has autism and but a person like you with this agency here are here to help them.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then, so what's some of the treatment?
So I think understanding what autism is will then better explain what we do. So autism is usually characterized by deficits in communication and language, communication and socialization. And it's a spectrum disorder, so you have a wide range of how these characteristics manifest. So you can have a child that's completely nonverbal, maybe has some repetitive behaviors, and really doesn't want to initiate any socialization. And then you might have someone who's completely articulate, can talk very clearly and express themselves very clearly, but yet in social situations there might be something that's a little off. So it's a wide spectrum.
I know it's really wide because a lot of people will only put autism. When you think of autism, some people would think Rain Man, and they would think that this person, well, what type of powers or extraordinary supernatural abilities does this child have? Now, have you seen any of them that have some special...
There's a saying out there in the autism community that when you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism, because a lot of them don't have, there is not one kind of stereotypical type of autism. I think the character in Rain Man had a savant syndrome in addition to having autism, which, it's very important to understand that autism in itself is not necessarily a cognitive or intelligence-based disorder. So we have many, many children that we work with who are incredibly intelligent, incredibly smart, so smart that they know how to read the way that you interact with them to determine how they will behave towards you. So many individuals with autism are extremely intelligent. They see the world in a different way.
I know,
They interpret the world in a different way.
I've met some that are very intelligent and smart and have... What age do they get diagnosed at?
Previously, diagnosis was not until a later age, maybe 4 years old, 6 years old. And so you have to have a specific training. You have to be a specific kind of doctor to be able to diagnose early.
Oh, okay.
So we've seen diagnosis as early as 17 months, 18 months.
Okay.
Previously, there was a problem with those doctors, the number of doctors that were available to diagnose that early.
Oh, okay.
But as the field has developed, there's been more doctors, wait lists have decreased. So yeah, we see diagnosis as early as that young.
Are some of the symptoms, is it a broad range symptom, or is it something that it's just outstanding?
There is a broad range. The early signs of autism, I think they're at that young age. The question is this a delay? Is it a delay in speech? Is it a late bloomer, or is this actually autism? And that's why there's a lot of people that aren't trained necessarily to diagnose that early. But some of the early signs of autism are maybe lack of contact, a lot of the stereotypy or repetitive behaviors, which to a common onlooker maybe don't necessarily serve a purpose or an understandable purpose,
Right.
but they have a purpose to that child.
And early diagnosis is a lot better.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
And then-
Delays in speech may be another early sign. the preference to keep to themselves, to play to themselves, and disregard on maybe other children, or maybe you trying to initiate play with them. That's another sign as well.
Wow. So, and then part of the treatment, is there medication or behavior management?
Yes, there is a lot of resource available out there to treat autism. Some families have gone the biological route, special diets. Some have gone the medication route. The most widely accepted form of treatment for individuals with autism, and is recognized by the Surgeon General as medically necessary, is applied behavioral analysis. And that's what our centers do. All 6 of our centers are based in applied behavioral analysis therapy.
And what does that consist of?
So applied behavioral analysis therapy is, in the most simplest form, is essentially understanding a child's behavior, what motivates that behavior, why are they doing that behavior, and using that understanding to teach new skills, and in some instances reduce behaviors as well. So the concept is, I'm motivated to do something because it's going to fulfill a certain need.
Okay.
So understanding what that need is for that person, and aligning it with, socially acceptable or appropriate things.
Now, we know that it's really not genetics, right? Or do we know that?
We don't know that.
We
yes.
don't. Okay.
There is a lot of theories, schools of thought behind what causes autism, and nothing has been established or replicated or proven with 100%. So
basically, we just know that boys are higher.
Yes, we know the prevalence in boys is higher than girls. There's, some of the schools of thought, there's always that nature versus nurture theory. Is it something that's biological, something that's genetic, or is it something that we've exposed ourselves to in the environment that has caused this? And then there's the school of thought that maybe it's a little bit of both, that some individuals may be predisposed due to their biological makeup, and then are exposed to certain factors in the environment which cause the autism to develop.
I'm going to ask you, how does the parents feel about having this place here? Are they here? They don't live here, but they come here every day to go to school. And
yes. So our centers are full day centers for ages 2 to 6. So the kids here are all within that age range.
Oh, okay.
And this is an alternative to receiving home-based therapy, going to a preschool, or going to a daycare, where all the kids here have a one-to-one therapist that works with them throughout their day. But they're also exposed to structured activities like they would if they were at a school. So we have extracurricular activities, core standards, STEM standards that are built into our day, in addition to, circle time, lunch, snack times, open gym, and movement activities. So that's a little bit about our program. Families who are in our program, they seem to be very grateful.
I can imagine.
Yeah, when we interviewed our families, and we usually go through this interview process during enrollment, and we asked them what their experience has been like, what their journey has been like, what would they like, what is their goal in enrolling their child in a program like ours. And a lot of them felt lost, overwhelmed, worried about what their child's future would look like.
Yeah.
And then within, a couple weeks, a couple of months, we see them, obviously. We see them every day, and we have meetings with them regularly, but their spirits are uplifted. One of the most common things they say about our therapists is that you can tell our therapists love to come to work. They love what they do. It's not one of those jobs where you just show up and you make a paycheck and you
I
leave.
could believe that because the staff here, they are just really kind and pleasant. They're just, and you, I know you really love it here, don't you?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Every day it doesn't feel like I'm coming to work. You know, if I happen to stay late or if I work on a weekend, it's not giving up part of my life. It is my life.
I know. I could see it in you. I could tell that you really do love your job
thank
and
you.
the things that you do. She's really made us feel very comfortable, and
Thank you.
I like it. I really appreciate you coming, Marisol. I mean, well, letting us come. But thank you so much, and hopefully we may be able to get a chance to see you again, and this wouldn't be our last day seeing each other. I developed
I
a
hope
great
not.
friendship with Marisol, and thank you so much. Wave, Marisol.
Oh, bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
From California.